Hi everyone, welcome back to another video of mine. Long time since I've done an art working video, but I actually filmed this quite a while ago. It was such a lengthy video that was going to take me a long time to cut, and it took me a long time to edit. This video assumes that you already have some experience using Photoshop, so some of the tools will be familiar to you. So let's get started by dragging over an image that I've created in Illustrator and copying and pasting that into Photoshop. So I'm using a tricky image which has been cropped out of some artwork that I created. So the point of making this into a seamless print, as you will see, is at the moment it's not repeatable and I'll have seams. So this video is going to demonstrate to you how to create this artwork into a seamless repeat print. So for this example, I'm using an image that I created in Illustrator. As you can see, it has a border, it's sort of a framed image. It's not just out in the open, which would be easier to make a repeat print from. So I'm going to note down these values, the width and the height, write those down and divide them both by 2. In the offset panel, apply those calculations you just made and enter them into the boxes above. So your width value is going to go into the horizontal box and the height value will go into the vertical value box. So now you should have 2 layers that look different. The top layer should look like 4 squares, almost like a jigsaw, with a big gap in the middle of it, a bit like a cross. And then your second layer underneath will be your original design. To be able to differentiate between the 2 layers, I like to change the opacity of the top layer or the bottom layer, whatever works for you, and give them meaningful names so that you know not to touch the original layer or you're working on the top. So here we're going to be using the eraser tool because it's really easy to just remove sections of your print with the eraser tool and looking at different brushes so that it doesn't look too harsh and too blunt. So I recommend having a play with all these different textures, bristles that are available, and even try alternating the values of the size and the hardness to get something that's going to suit your design. Here I've just sped up the artworking process of erasing areas and revealing what's underneath. So it's almost like I'm just working between what I want to see and what I don't want to see from the 2 layers. What I don't want to do is actually change anything around the edges of the design of where I had the original offset layer, because ideally when we come to tile this print, those edges are going to meet up with each other, so that's what gives this the seamless print. In making adjustments to the opacity of the top layer and the original layer, I can then see what elements of the design I need to work on, move, tweak, erase. So that informs the rest of the work that I need to be doing on this piece of print work. With any art working process, you always have an aim that you're trying to work towards. In my case, it's to disguise the seam in this design. And in doing this, it keeps me focused. It might take some time, but this is where the skill and experience of using Photoshop and a few key tools helps you achieve this faster. The clone stamp tool is a useful tool to get used to, as it's an excellent technique for cloning areas, patching and mending without having to redraw an image. So in this case, I might not be able to achieve the same effect using other tools in Photoshop, so I'm just going to use it to pick up existing areas of the design and then incorporating that back into the artwork Another thing that you can do to bulk out, fill out your design is to copy and paste elements that exist already. But you want to do this in a delicate way which isn't too repetitive. Otherwise, with the trained eye, it can be really obvious that your piece of print has just been copy pasted and it doesn't look that sophisticated. So that your copied element doesn't jump out, use the free transform tool to change the direction of it, the size, and you can skew it just so that it can melt into the design. Mending seams and artworking can be quite tedious and it's painstaking sometimes, so I've tried to condense some of the main tools and techniques that I've already demonstrated and just sped up that process for you. There's a lot of back and forth that you'll have to do. You'll have to keep checking between your layers, merge your layers, especially when you're copying and pasting a lot. You're going to be using the clone stamp tool to repair edges and to mend your design every time you make a new manipulation. All the while, I've been careful not to interfere with the edges of my document. The reason for this is that this is where the join is going to happen when you put this tile into repeat. So any changes I make there will interfere with the flow, and it could be that I would end up with more seams and then more repairs to do. So I'm really just focused with filling in these gaps. A useful habit to get into while we are artworking and mending seams is to create a pattern of your work in progress and apply that to a canvas much bigger than the one that you're already working on. When you can see your document in repeat print, or in this case this is a tile, you know what areas you're going to need to work on further. So this is my reworking attempt the second time over. This is all part of artworking, going back and forwards, trying to spot the difference, trying to spot where it is that you need to tweak, remove, edit, add in order to have a seamless repeat print. After more artworking, I managed to come up with the final design, which on reflection now probably could do with some more tweaking. But here it is, in all its glory. Finally I was able to make it seamless and join up. Of course there are some areas of improvement, but we got there in the end and I'm quite happy with the result. If you have any questions about anything that I've done here, please let me know in the comments section below. I hope it was useful to you and you were able to take some tips away from this video to put into your own practice.